I'm not afraid to admit that Prison School is one of my favorite comedy anime. You know what? Scratch that. It's one of my favorite anime in general. It's one of the most outrageous, ridiculous anime that I have ever seen, and I loved every minute of it. I can't believe it's almost been 10 years since the anime premiered. Fun fact, Mons Musume, To Live Through Darkness Season 2, and Shiometa all came out at the same time as Prison School. Summer 2015 was a time to be alive. I think one of the things that makes Prison School work is that you do the crime, you do the time. As in, our main characters get their comeuppance, they are punished for their wrongdoing. But when their punishment starts going too far, you actually start rooting for them. Because at the end of the day, they're not really bad guys, for the most part. They just did a bad thing. And have I mentioned that this show is funny? Because it is. When a show can make a fart/poop joke funny, then you know it's good. There's a reason why reaction videos to this anime have hundreds of thousands of views. It was even popular enough to get a live action series. But as popular as it was, it never got a season 2. I've always been interested in checking out the manga, but unfortunately, I've always heard that the ending is absolutely terrible. So of course that stopped me from checking out the manga because I didn't want to waste my time if it was a terrible ending. But suddenly I got the urge to finish the manga even with the rumors that the ending is terrible. I mean, it did leave off on a pretty big cliffhanger. But as always, I want to quickly recap what happens in the anime before we move on to what happens in the manga, because again, it has been like 10 years since the anime came out. The setting, Hachimiku Private Academy, an all-girls school. Up until recently, the school is now starting to go co-ed. We are introduced to Kiyoshi, Gakuto, Shingo, Joe, and Andre, the new and only male students at the school. The first thing they decide to do is become peeping toms. Huh? They end up getting caught by the underground student council. The council consists of Hana, the secretary, Vice President Mako.
How dare you condemn us for violating human rights, then chain us up like animals? Your right to speak has been revoked.
And the president, Mari.
The 20th president of the Underground Student Council. They call me Mari the Crow Master.
Who happens to be the chairman's daughter. Their punishment is to spend 1 month in the school's prison.
Sentencing will begin immediately. The guilty are hereby ordered to serve 1 month in the school prison.
Of course, you might be thinking, why would they go along with being thrown into the school's prison? Well, for starters, if they don't, they'll get expelled, and they don't want to leave this school. Secondly, it would be really hard for them to get into another school because it would go on their permanent record that they got kicked out for peeping. Thirdly, who would want to tell their parents that they got kicked out of school for peeping? So right off the bat, they are treated like dirt. But before they got thrown into prison, Kiyoshi ended up clicking with a girl named Chiyo over sumo wrestling. She wants to go to a sumo show with him, but to go to the show, he'll have to break out of prison. Gakuto says that he'll help him break out if he brings back a collectible figure for him. Also, side note, Kiyoshi accidentally saw Hana pee, so now she wants to see him pee.
Are you serious?
Which of course makes for a lot of weird interactions. Gakuto and Kiyoshi come up with a plan for Kiyoshi to escape, and with a lot of luck, Kiyoshi is able to escape by dressing up as a girl. So he meets up with Chiyo and they have their little sumo date. Chiyo ends up finding the girl's uniform in his bag. At this point, she doesn't know that he had to dress up as a girl to escape from prison. It ends up being her uniform, which he didn't know. This makes her disgusted and she ends the date right then and there, leaving Kiyoshi horribly depressed. But he does make sure to get Gakuto's figure. But the thing is, Chiyo posted a photo of them on their little date together, so the Underground Student Council ends up finding out that Kiyoshi escaped. This is when we also find out that Chiyo is the sister of the president. Kiyoshi keeps his mouth shut about Gakuto helping him escape. Everyone is punished for Kiyoshi escaping. Kiyoshi is to be expelled, and the others have their sentences extended by a whole month. Chiyo saves Kiyoshi from getting expelled, so then Kiyoshi is sent back to the prison. She came to his rescue because she figured that he must have had a reason for having a girl's uniform. The Underground Student Council actually doesn't have the power to expel anybody unless the boys try to escape 3 times. Back at the prison, the other boys, besides Gakuto, treat Kiyoshi like dirt because again, since he escaped, they got all their sentences extended by a whole month. The Underground Student Council end up coming up with a plan to try to get the boys kicked out of school. They call it DTO. They start their plan by manipulating Shingo. They then antagonize Joe into attacking them. But let's just say that Kiyoshi was able to resolve that situation. The vice president ends up finding Gakuto's figure. If the Underground Student Council finds out that Gakuto helped Kiyoshi escape, all the boys will have their sentences extended again. So Gakuto smashes the figure to get the Underground Student Council off their backs. The Underground Student Council starts to psychologically break Andre to the point to where he accidentally escapes. That counts as escape number 2. Remember, if they get 3, that means expulsion. At the same time the Andre stuff is happening, Shingo is out on a date with a girl named Anzu. He was allowed to leave the prison for a few hours, but has to be back by a certain time. Otherwise, it will count as another breakout. Anzu admits that she's been working with the Underground Student Council. Her job was to make sure he was late getting back to the prison. He starts to rush back to the prison. He only has 5 minutes.
I'm fast as fuck, boy.
The vice president starts mocking the boys. She's like, it's too bad you guys are gonna get kicked out. You're gonna miss the wet t-shirt contest. That statement about the wet t-shirt contest is going to come into play later on in the manga, so keep that in the back of your head. Shingo almost made it back in time, but they changed the way that the door works, making him late. That counts as their 3rd breakout, meaning that they're going to get expelled. The guys end up finding out about the DTO plan to get them kicked out of school. They figure that they must have this DTO plan on a computer somewhere. If they can get their hands on the plans, they can prove to the chairman that the girls manipulated things to try to get them kicked out of school. So the boys come up with a plan to get that info. So they distract the vice president with an arm wrestle competition, while Gakuto sneaks out to try to get his hands on the information. Unfortunately, they're not able to distract her long enough for him to get his hands on the info. Gakuto comes up with another plan, but needs more time to execute it. They're able to meet with the chairman, who gives them 1 extra day. They set their plan into motion. Kiyoshi is able to distract Hana long enough to execute the plan. Gakuto is able to get his hands on the information he needed to prove that the girls set them up and gives it to the chairman. With this proof, the boys are set free and don't get expelled. And here's where the twist comes in. We find out that the Underground Student Council isn't the real student council at the school. They truly were the Underground Student Council. These are the real student council members. For actively trying to get the boys thrown out and for the way that they treated the boys, the Underground Student Council is thrown into the school's prison, leaving off on what I consider to be the perfect cliffhanger and the perfect setup to a season 2. It really got you excited because this is a very interesting path to take the story, the girls now being the ones in prison. But despite how well the anime was received, we never got a season 2. Quick side note, I skipped over a lot of content, mainly comedic stuff just kind of to keep the flow of the video, but also to avoid the yellow dollar sign. My recap did not do the show justice, so if you haven't seen the show in a long time, I definitely suggest going back and rewatching it. But yeah, anyway, season 2 never happened. Some people have theorized that it's because of how bad the manga ending was, but I don't think that's why. The reason being is because the anime ended in September of 2015, but the manga didn't end until December of 2017. So that's roughly a 2-year gap that they could have been working on season 2 before we got the bad ending. I think it's a more boring reason why we didn't get a season 2. More than likely, the anime was just made to promote the manga, it did its job, so that's why there was never a season 2. You know, the good old go read the manga ending that seems to happen to a lot of anime. But that's why you clicked on this video, to find out what happens after the prison school anime. I know there's an OVA, but we're gonna cover that through the manga. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the manga. Gakuto ends up meeting a girl named Misuko who seems to be into the same stuff as him. And she's extremely clumsy. We cut to Joe, who doesn't seem to be enjoying his freedom as much as the others. He even wishes that he was back in prison.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Joe opens up to Andre about how he misses being in prison. The bars made him feel safe, secure, something that he could rely on. Now they're gone, he has mixed feelings, he can't sleep at night. He misses being behind bars so much that the next day he tries to someone.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
But Andre stops him and Joe walks off as if nothing happened. Since Andre stopped him, Joe comes up with an even more vile plan to get thrown back into the school's prison, and that is to himself to the girls in the girls' changing room. Andre figures out what Joe plans to do and goes to stop him. Right when Joe is about to open the changing room door, a girl offers him a cupcake.
He's actually coming out here to pick up a cupcake.
Seems like all he needed was a cute girl to talk to him. Guys are simple creatures. But remember, Andre was trying to stop him, but he's going too fast to stop himself and ends up crashing into the girls' changing room. And then proceeds to get beat up by all the girls on the inside. Luckily, no one ended up going back to prison. I guess they were able to say that it was just a freak accident. The guys are now trying to help Gakuto plan a date with Misuko. This is when we get the twist and learn that Mitsuko is part of the student council. Not the underground student council, but the actual student council. The members being Masako, the secretary, Riza, the vice president, and Kate, the president. This is when we cut to what we see at the end of the anime, which is the real student council escorting the underground student council to the school's prison. So now we're at the part that you've been waiting for. What's going to happen that now the girls are in prison and that the guys are free. So let's not waste any more time and officially get into what happens after the prison school anime. Well, the ladies are put right to work doing manual labor, just like they had the boys doing, and they aren't liking it. And they're getting treated just as poorly. The real student council are ones not to be messed with. The real student council can fight just as well as the underground student council. And they don't plan on going easy on the underground student council. I think their sentence is only like a week, which I think is some BS. The boys got like a month. Anyway, it seems like Kate, the real student council president, has some kind of grudge against the underground student president, Mari. Masako ends up introducing Gakuto and Andre to the real student council, and they start buttering them up. Kate says that she has a favor to ask them. This is where things get interesting. Gakuto and Andre are assigned to be guards.
It's gonna get good.
Kate kinda wants to recreate the Stanford prison experiment. It was a real experiment where normal students volunteered to be prisoners and guards. Even though the experiment only lasted a few days, the guards became drunk with power and treated the inmates poorly. Kate wants to see if the good-natured Gakuto and Andre will take advantage of the situation. Plus, it's a good way to mess with the underground student council. Their first day on guard duty, they're kind of pushovers. The second day, they get their hands on some snazzy guard uniforms and start standing on business.
All right, Levi, what you standing on? Standing on business. Standing on business. Oh, you stand upon business.
Especially Andre. For example, he tells the vice president to do a neck bridge for disrespecting him. She does it and then he proceeds to sit on her. Just straight savage. Then Andre starts rubbing off on Gakuto. But when Andre takes things a step too far, the vice president goes on the attack. But something you gotta remember is that the boys aren't complete pushovers when it comes to physical strength. They just never really fought back because it would lead to their sentences getting extended. So Andre is easily able to take down the vice president with a flip, which seems to impress Riza. But why is he being so harsh towards the vice president? I mean, he loved getting punished by her so much that he accidentally escaped prison. Well, he's investing. He's hoping that if he's harsh to her now, that when she gets out of prison, she'll pay him back tenfold. A true masochist. Also, it seems like Riza has started to take a liking to Andre. We then get a flashback that Mari, Kate, and the vice president all knew each other as kids. Back in the day, Kate used to bully the vice president, but then Mari comes along and starts being friends with the vice president. But now that Mari is hanging out with the vice president, now she is starting to get bullied. When the bullying starts to go too far, something awakens in the vice president, and she puts an end to Kate's bullying. So now Kate wants to get revenge. So that was chapter 99, and we're about to get into chapter 100. I like how the story has changed the roles of our characters. You know, the prisoners are now guards and the guards are now prisoners. It's definitely in character for Andre to be like, oh, if I'm harsh to the president now, I'm gonna get an extra helping of punishment later. I like how we get to learn so early on why Kate hates the underground student council, and it's because she's just petty. You know, she's mad because they stood up to her. I never really cared to learn about the vice president's backstory, but I'm glad we got it. You know, we get to learn why she dresses the way that she does, and it's because she was being bullied back in middle school because of her body, so she takes that, you know, why she was being bullied and, you know, controls that. But with that all said, let's go ahead and continue into chapter 100 and beyond. Kate starts to plant seeds to try to get Hana to turn her back on the president and vice president. And it seems like it works. She lashes out at the president, saying that this is all her fault. She's kind of jealous at how close the president and vice president are. She kind of feels like the third wheel. Meanwhile, Shingo is on a date with Anzu, and he tries to do the same thing that Kiyoshi did that got Hana to kiss him. Let's just say that things didn't end well for Shingo.
The next day, the was dead.
Switching back to the main plot line, Kate tries to drive a wedge between the vice president and the president by tricking the vice president into setting a tree on fire that has baby crows in it. The birds seemingly burn to a crisp, and then they have their sentences extended. Well, except for Hana, she's getting let out for good behavior. And quick side note, the birds do live, they did not burn to a crisp. The real student council took the birds out of the tree before they executed their plan. So because of the whole tree situation, the vice president thinks that the president is going to hate her, which ends up breaking her, and then she ends up reverting back to her old self. When Andre finds out about the vice president, he's devastated and starts to break also. Kiyoshi wants to help Chio prove that the real student council set up this whole tree situation. So he sneaks into the student council room to try to get his hands on some evidence, but he gets caught by Riza. So with Hana being released from prison, Kiyoshi is sent to prison with the vice president and the president. He's sentenced to 1 week. So things are a mess right now. The vice president and Andre are broken. Seems like Kate has succeeded in having Hana turn her back on her friends. Kiyoshi's been thrown back into prison and is going to be serving his sentence alongside the ladies. Someone thinks that Joe and Gakuto have a secret relationship. Yeah, I skipped over a lot of content, mainly comedic stuff like I did with the anime, again mainly to avoid the yellow dollar sign. Should I make a Patreon with uncensored videos? Let me know in the comment section below. Let's go ahead and jump back into the main story with Kiyoshi now being thrown back into prison. But before we get back into the video, if you guys are enjoying the video, please like and subscribe. It lets me know that you guys want to see more videos like this. Chio explains to the other guys that she thinks it's her fault why Kiyoshi was thrown back into prison. She's able to figure out that he probably got caught trying to get evidence for her. She asks if they'll help her, but they refuse. They like Kiyoshi, but hate the Underground Student Council even more. Chio doesn't really understand the hell that the Underground Student Council put them through. So the president is able to deduce that Kate probably threw Kiyoshi into prison to try and manipulate a scandal into happening. So she tells Kiyoshi to stay away from her and the vice president. Meanwhile, it seems like Andre is accidentally turning Riza into a No, wait, that's exactly what's happening. Okay, this is too funny not to cover. Hey y'all, editor Broken here, and actually I'm gonna need to skip over this part. It's really funny, but YouTube just doesn't like it. And of course it leads to a misunderstanding. This got a real good laugh out of me. Meanwhile, we learn that Hana has a picture of her kissing Kiyoshi and threatens Kiyoshi that she will show Chio this picture if he doesn't do what she says. She doesn't want him to do anything in particular at the moment, but when she does, he better do it. Meanwhile, Kiyoshi is helping Hana take a better blackmail photo because the blackmail photo that she had is pretty ugly. We cut to a little while later and Kate has Kiyoshi and the president locked in a room together. Things are about to get crazy and Kate has a camera set up to see it all go down. So Kate puts snakes into the room. One of the snakes ends up biting the president in a very unfortunate place. And you all know what you gotta do when it comes to a poisonous snake bite. So Kiyoshi becomes a vampire. Of course, I'm not gonna show it, but Kate gets to see it and she has it all on camera. So once Kiyoshi thinks that he got the poison out of the president, he then gets bitten. So he asks the president to do what he did for her, which is to become a vampire and get the poison out of his system. The thing is that Kate did not plan for things to turn out like this. She just thought that they would just cling to each other out of fear, like Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. Because the thing is, the snakes aren't poisonous. The president and Kiyoshi just assumed that they were. So Kiyoshi and the president end up doing something even more ridiculous that got Kate looking like this. Like, I have to stress, what's happening between Kiyoshi and the president might be even more intense than what happened between Kiyoshi and Hana at the end of season 1. Like, if there was a season 2, this would be the mid-season finale. What happened was so intense that it has Kate drooling at her monitor. It's then revealed that the snakes weren't poisonous. Kate shows Mari that she has everything that her and Kiyoshi did on camera. Mari's like, okay Kate, what do you want? Kate wants to make a deal. If the Underground Student Council is able to beat the real Student Council during the sports festival, the real Student Council will dissolve. But if the real Student Council wins, that means the Underground Student Council has to dissolve. Mari accepts the bet. So I've really been enjoying the manga so far, about as much as season 1. So hopefully the manga keeps the momentum going. Let's go ahead and jump back into the manga. The president asks Kiyoshi if he'll help her break out of prison so she can get her hands on that video. If she can do that, then she can feel like she can fight on equal ground with Kate. But he says that he can't. He had the help of his friends before, but now he believes he doesn't have any. He thinks that they hate him for trying to help out the Underground Student Council. Even though he's doubtful, Kiyoshi asks Gakuto if he'll help. And Gakuto says he will, will, only because of a certain thing. Gakuto goes to ask the other guys to help, but they refuse. Well, do you guys remember that back in season 1, the vice president mentioned something about a wet t-shirt contest? Well, Gakuto reveals to the other guys that the wet t-shirt contest has been removed from the sports festival because of the Real Student Council. So now they decide to help because they love wet t-shirts. So Kiyoshi ends up asking the president what her plan is, and she says that she's going to need a plastic bottle, which is of course a callback to how he distracted Hana. Also, it doesn't seem like the president or Kiyoshi hate each other as much as they used to. The vice president is released from prison a little early because of her mental state. And now Chiyo is being thrown into prison.
What?
Timeout, because it makes no sense why Chiyo was thrown into prison. People have been calling her sister, teenage girl bullying stuff. The bullying got to a point where they tried to get her to on camera. So when they put their hands on her, that's when she opens up a can of whoop ass and defends herself. The chairman, her father, sees this go down, but she's still thrown into prison? I like the idea of Chiyo being in prison, I just don't like the execution of how she got there. Chiyo misunderstands and is jealous of the president and Kiyoshi's relationship. The reason for this misunderstanding is because they don't want to tell her or get her involved in their prison break. So because they won't tell her anything, she starts to believe the rumors about her sister that she gets around, and the misunderstanding just keeps getting worse. So to get Kiyoshi's attention, Chiyo starts acting and dressing a bit more promiscuous and tries to seduce Kiyoshi.
What are you wearing?
But my boy could tell that something was off and declines her advances like a gentleman. The sisters finally have a real conversation to try and clear everything up, but right when the president is about to reveal the secret about them trying to break out, Chiyo stops her. Chiyo stops her because now she believes that they are keeping secrets from her because they're planning something for her birthday?
Hey pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town?
So she still misunderstands, but it's better than it was before. Riza decides to ask the president, why are you even trying to escape? You're going to be released from prison in like 1 or 2 days if you're on good behavior, so what's the deal? She answers by saying she's going to steal back what was taken from her. Chiyo is released from prison because again, her crime really wasn't all that bad. Chiyo ends up running into the guys and she thinks that the thing that they built is actually supposed to be a birthday gift for her.
You stupid!
So when she finds out that Kate disposed of it, she goes on the attack. Kate fights her off with ease and lets her off with a warning. Kate decides to break Hana. She wants her to hate President Mari. She ends up discovering the photos of Kiyoshi and Hana on Hana's phone. Kate now thinks that Kiyoshi and Hana are going out, but again, remember, those are just blackmail photos. So she shows Hana the video of Kiyoshi and the president becoming vampires, if you get my drift. And of course, Hana doesn't have the context that even though they're not dating, this hurts Hana and she goes off on her own. Let's just say this and that happens and Hana ends up coming to the prison to confront the president about what she saw in that video. The president doesn't get a chance to explain before Hana leaves. Shortly after that, they start enacting their escape plan in a very prison school way. But they end up getting caught in a very hilarious way that I can't show on screen. But here's where the twist comes in. The escape plan isn't actually ruined. Everything is still going according to the president's plan. She didn't tell Kiyoshi everything about the escape plan and his part is now done. Her real goal was to get Kate to come gloat in her face about the escape plan failing. And Kate actually does. She comes to the prison to gloat. The president is successful into getting Kate to feel uncomfortable. She's then able to manipulate Kate into handcuffing each other together. So Kate can keep an eye on her. This is when the president admits that she actually escaped last night. Riza ends up finding a rope that stretches from the school to the girls' dorm, and the rope was right above Kate's room. Kate asks where the key is, and the president says that it's in Kate's room. So the president and Kate make their way to Kate's room, and this is where things get crazy. So once they get to Kate's room, Kate checks to make sure that her secret box is still there. The president says that she put the key inside of the box.
Who's in the box? What's in the box?
But Kate thinks that the president is bluffing and that she never actually escaped and that she doesn't even know what's inside of the secret box. The president is like, oh, I know. It's my underwear that you stole from me.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Don't tell me we got another Rudius on our hands. She's like, I've known for a long time that you've been in love with me. Kate tries to deny it, but the box ends up breaking and oh, look what's inside.
Gotcha, bitch.
We take a look around Kate's room and we see that a lot of the stuff relates back to the president. Let's just say that the president tries to make a move, but Kate denies her advances. The president apologizes for misunderstanding. She's like, oh, you don't love me, you want to become me. The president makes another move on Kate, and this time she doesn't deny her advances. And yeah, of course, I can't show what goes down. You're gonna have to use your imagination. The thing is, the president set up a camera and recorded everything that they did. So the president's goal wasn't to get her hands on the video between her and Kiyoshi, but to record a video of her and Kate. So now they're on equal footing. They both have blackmail videos. Here comes another twist. Hana was helping the entire time. She never actually turned her back on the president.
What a twist!
Kate's like, dang, you got me. I guess I'll have to fight fair during the sports festival. May the best student council win. Because if you remember, they placed a bet that whoever lost during the school festival would have to disband their council. The president thanks Kiyoshi for his hard work. Because of him and the other boys, she now has leverage over Kate. But the war isn't over yet. They still gotta beat the student council during the school festival to get them disbanded. We see Kate burning all of her stuff that relates to her obsession with the president. Kate plans on beating the president no matter what. So if there ever was a season 2, that would have been the ending of season 2. So whose escape plan did I like more, Mari's or Gakuto's? Well, I was more emotionally invested with the boys, so I'm going to have to go with Gakuto's plan. When it comes to which season I liked more, when it comes to, season 1 or season 2, I like them, pretty much the same. Season 2 is just as outlandish and crazy and funny as the first season. I also really like how the story went down the path of the girls being the ones in prison. But I'm going to have to say that I like season 1 just a little bit more than season 2. Again, mainly because I was more emotionally invested with the boys than I was with the underground student council. So with that all being said, what's going to happen in season 3? The school festival arc. When are the vice president and Andre gonna go back to normal? How do the boys plan on getting the wet t-shirt contest to happen, because the festival is starting like right now? And they haven't told the underground student council yet that's what they want as a reward for helping them. What kind of tricks does Kate have up her sleeve? Well, I guess we'll find out in part 2 of this video. There's just so much content left that I thought it would be best to go ahead and split the video. Like season 1 of the anime covered roughly like 80 chapters of the manga, and right now at the end of season 2, we're at around 165 chapters, so we still got over 100 chapters worth of content to cover. So definitely be looking forward to part 2 if this video does well. So make sure you guys are hitting that like button and subscribing, because it lets me know to do more videos like this. Also, thank you for 100,000 subscribers. I never thought we would hit that, but here we are. No promises, but I might do a 100K special. If I was to do one, what would you guys like to see? Please leave your comments down below. Editor Broken here. Sorry for all the edits, but we gotta make YouTube happy. Alright, that's enough of me yapping. I hope you guys are looking forward to part 2. But again, I'm only gonna do it if this video does well, so make sure you're liking and subscribing to give me motivation to make part 2. So if you guys liked this video, like the video, and if you like me, subscribe to me. And as always, this has been your boy Broken, and I'll catch y'all next time.